Do you have a vision or a dream that so big that when other people hear it, they try to talk you out of it? Or maybe some people frown upon your dream. Have God given you an assignment that sounds crazy or ridiculous? Have you ever pursued a goal and people called you crazy? Listen, you're not crazy. You just have crazy faith. Walk with me. And listen, I'm Billy Miller, the motivational minister, and they call me the motivational minister because I help people to improve their lives by teaching them life skills from the Bible. And listen, today I want to share a message with you, a simple message called about being crazy or crazy faith. Just like the shirt says, crazy or crazy faith. And listen, I have a testimony I want to share with you because you're in a situation and you have dreams. God has put in a dream inside of you. God has given you an assignment, and you may be timid because you're telling your big dream to small-minded people. I'm gonna say that again. You're telling your big dream to small-minded people. And listen, I want to share a story with you, a testimony with you that you're going to resonate with. And listen, before we get started, I just want to let you know this is live. We are live. This is not a streaming video. This is not pre-recorded. This video is live. However, I know I get a lot of people on the replays. So listen, thank you for watching the replay. If you're watching this on the replay, just hit hashtag replay. Okay, they go to like doing want to trip all of a sudden. We're not gonna have no distractions today. Listen, I want to share a story with you about crazy or crazy faith. First of all, what is crazy faith? Let me put the definition up on the screen. Crazy faith is when you do what God says, no matter how crazy it may seem at the moment. When you do what God says, no matter how crazy it may seem at the moment, because God will tell you to do some crazy things. It also means having faith no matter how bad it gets. This is what we mean by when we say crazy faith. Take a screenshot of that. Crazy faith. And I want you to have crazy, enormous faith. Listen, I don't want you to think that you're crazy. I don't want you to think that you're alone. I don't want you to think that you're by yourself. Because listen, I'm right there in the trenches with you. Listen, years ago, when I was working, I was a bus person, a bus boy, working in a restaurant. And I had received Christ at an early age. I was about 26, I believe. And I received Christ. And when I received Christ, my life began to change. My life began to be transformed. And I excelled at my job. I became a customer service guru. I won all types of awards at that job. I got promoted on that job. I mean, I was just moving up the ranks and doing exceptionally well. Well, then, as I was studying, though, as I began to grow in Christ, God gave me the revelation to write a book. I had been studying on this phrase called the word is your life. If you've been following me, you know that's my slogan, that's my mantra, that's my life's motto. The word is your life. That's my website. The word is your life. I even got it on shirts. The word is your life. And God gave me the revelation to write a book on it, right? And though I was excited about the vision, though that sounds, like wow, write a book. There's a part of me that was excited, but there was another part of me that felt a little scared because wait a minute, I don't know anything about writing a book. I've never written a book before. I don't even know authors. So I had this intimidation. I had this fear of not knowing. But God gave me the vision. And God gave me the vision. And one of the things I did is I asked the wrong question. Stay with me. I asked the wrong question. I asked the most defeating question that you can ask yourself. And this is the question I asked. I'm going to put it on the screen right here. The question I ask is the most defeating question is, what if it doesn't work? What if it doesn't work? This is the question I ask myself. This is what the inner critic was saying inside of my head. These are the thoughts that I was battling. What if it doesn't work? And so I remember, Tawana Williams told me years ago, she said, listen, the how is none of your business. That's God's business. And see, this was before I met Tawana Williams. And so I didn't have that quote then, but I kept wondering about the how. How am I going to write this book? What if it doesn't work? What if it flops? What if I make mistakes? What if they laugh at me? What if I get rejected? What if nobody buys it? And those thoughts begin to build, and the building of those thoughts caused me to procrastinate. And I began to procrastinate on my dream. Now I didn't abort the vision, thank God, but I began to procrastinate. Listen, procrastination is the assassination of your destination. Let me put that on the screen. Yeah, take a screenshot of that. Procrastination is the assassination of your destination. Listen, you don't want to procrastinate. And a lot of us battle with this procrastination, and procrastination comes and causes you. The thing about procrastination, you won't abort the vision, but you most definitely will prolong it. You won't give up, and that's the deception of it, because in your mind you're not a quitter, you're not giving up on it, but you're hesitant about getting started. And so you have the vision on the forefront, but your feet is still standing still. You haven't started moving, you haven't done anything. And this is what happened with me. I had vision for the book. I even told people that I would write a book. I even had the title of the book. I even studied on the revelation and the nuggets for the book. But one thing that I hadn't done is started the writing, started the process of creating the book. Why? Because I was procrastinating. I procrastinated for a whole year, then 2 years, then 3 years, then 4 years. Listen, I haven't aborted it. Listen, if you would ask me about, hey, you still writing that, go write that book, I would tell you yes. 5 years, 6 years. Listen, it's 7 years, and I haven't started the process of creating my first book. And see, I fell for this trap that many of you have fell for. And you may have fallen for this. And like I said, this is the deception of procrastination. It's one thing if you don't get on the team. So, say for example, baseball. It's one thing if you don't get on the team because you're scared. You don't get on the team because you don't have vision or you don't believe in it. You're not that person. No, you got your jersey. You have on your uniform. You have all of the equipment, right? And when and what it is, you're being like little Johnny. Who was little Johnny? Little Johnny was the one they say, "Hey Johnny, come on up the bat." And little Johnny was on the side working on his swing. Little Johnny was on the side getting ready. Little Johnny was on the side trying to perfect this craft. And he said, I'm coming. But right now I'm trying to work on my swing. And see, what little Johnny doesn't know is that he has a fear. And see, I like to say it like this: procrastination is when fear sneaks in. You may say, well, how is little Johnny having a fear? He's on the team, he's practicing, he's trying to get ready. Little Johnny has a fear. His fear is that he won't hit a home run. And because of his fear of not hitting a home run, he won't get up the bat. He won't get up the swing. So he's staying on the sideline, getting ready. And you've been the same way. You're ready, aim, but never firing. You're on your mark, get ready, get set, but you're never going. Look at this quote right here by Dr. Farrah Gray. He says, you don't have to hit a home run the first time, but you'll never hit a home run if you don't learn to swing. See, little Johnny just need to get up there swinging, because guess what? There are other players up there that's getting up there and they're striking out, but they're learning and they're getting better, and they're going to wind up hitting a home run while little Johnny is never over there, never growing, thinking he's growing because he's practicing, but he's never learning how to swing. And you're falling for the same trap. Yeah, you're reading the books, you're reading the how-to, you're watching the how-to videos, you join every master class there is to join, but you're not learning how to swing. And this is where I was at in this story. It's been 7 years and I still haven't learned how to swim. I haven't even got nothing back, but I got on the uniform. Yeah, I'm gonna write a book. Yeah, I'm gonna be an author, right? And so there was this one particular moment because I kept prospering on my job. I was being successful. I won every award that company had to offer. I mean, life was going good, and I was a single parent at the time, raising my daughter. And I began to think, and I'm procrastinating for so long on this book, been sitting it on the back burner, right? And there was this one one particular thought I had. I said, maybe I ought to take it off the back burner, put it up on the shelf. Hey, it's still not aborted, but let me just get it off the stove for right now. Because here's why. I had a good reason. I had a good excuse. I was a single parent trying to make a better life for me and my daughter. I mean, I'm living in a studio apartment. I'm doing good on this job. I'm excelling. And I said, hey, I had a plan. I said, I can excel in this job. I had a vision of being a food and beverage director or a general manager. This was my goal. This was my focus. I'm already on the management team. And why? Because I want to better my life. And surely God understands that I want to better my life for me and my family. Surely God understands what I'm trying to do is not for selfish reasons. Surely God wants me to do better. So I'm going to come back to the book. I'm going to just put it right up here on the shelf. And so about 2 weeks later, my mentor, who happened to work on the job with me, he came up to me and he said, it's time. He just walked up and said that. He said, it's time. As a matter of fact, write the word time in the comment section. Write time, Time, in the comment section. He walked up to me and said, it's time. And I said, it's time. It's time for what? And he really didn't know because he didn't know this conversation me and God was having. I mean, he knew I wanted to write a book, but he didn't know about my internal procrastination and dealing with God. I knew what God was talking about, but I wanted to hear him say it. I said, it's time for what? And surely he didn't know. He said, listen, I don't know. I couldn't hardly sleep last night because God been all on me, telling me to tell you it's time. I don't know what it's about, but I'm doing my part. I'm being obedient. I'm telling you what he said. He said, it's time. And so I kind of I knew what God was talking about, but I kind of played it off. I got spiritual with it. And I said, you know what? Maybe he's talking about it's time for my breakthrough. It's time for my harvest. It's time for me to get my stuff. That's what I said. That's what I kind of brushed it off as meaning that. And what it was God was trying to warn me. God was trying to tell me, listen, it's time. You're going backwards. You don't put the book you don't took it off the back burner and put it up on the shelf. No, 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 no. It's time. But I ignored the warning. I ignored the warning. Listen, like I said, we live. We live. Thank you for tuning in. Let me see who's in the comment section. Hey, Charlene, thank you for joining. But listen, God said it's time. And so I ignored the warning. And let me tell you, it was about 2 weeks later. About 2 weeks later, everything started to crumble. Remember, I told you I was succeeding on the job. I was excelling. I was about to get a promotion. Um, they was renovating. I mean, everything was going good. And I said, hey, I'm about to hit this full time and try to climb up the corporate ladder. I get to the book in a minute. And then everything started to all of a sudden crumble. I had some managers that was over me uh, that didn't like me, and they tried to sabotage me. And I had been at this job for 14 years, and early on when I had first started, people had tried to sabotage me, but God worked that thing out. And I was there for 14 years. I got another whole video on that. I'll share that later. So I was just like, oh, y'all try to come against me and I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm not worried about that because God's gonna handle it. You trying to set a trap for me, God go set a trap for you. And so I was trusting God. I said, listen, they're trying to sabotage me. They're trying to get me to compromise. I can't go into detail because it'll make this live super long, and I ain't trying to make this live super long, but just know that it boiled all the way down to either I was going to have to compromise or I could quit. Those were my only two options. Listen to what I'm saying. Rather than make this a long live, I don't have time to go into detail. Maybe I go into details real later. But just to simplify it, to summarize it, it was two options I had. These were the only two. I could stay at the job and compromise, or I could quit, or I could quit. And so I had to make a decision. But I'm praying. I'm like, God, I'm thinking God is going to turn this around. And I'm hoping that God is going to turn it around. They're trying to sabotage me. And it seems like it's winning. It seems like they're succeeding. And I'm trying to hear from God. And I'm not hearing God. God, where are you? And I'm not hearing anything. And time is winding up because I had to make my decision in a week. 2 days go by, 3 days go by. God, where you at? I don't hear him. 4 days go by, 5 days. I have to make a decision. You're either going to compromise or you're going to quit. And I remember the Dr. Miles Monroe, remember a quote that he once said. He says, "There's no victory in compromise." So I wasn't going to compromise. I wasn't going to, listen, y'all, I'm just going to have to quit. But the problem, here's the problem. So I prayed about it. The only peace that I had was quitting. I wrote it down on a paper. I put a list on the pros and cons. Had two a list. If I quit, this will happen. If I stay, this could happen. What's the pros and cons? And I prayed about it. And the only thing I heard I had peace was with the quit. And so, but here's the thing about quit. And I had to make my decision in a few days. This was during a time of recession, right? That's number one. Number two is if I quit, I didn't have another job. Now, just as a natural practice, if I was counseling somebody and they didn't like their job, I would tell them, I say, hey, before you quit your job, just stay there and go find another job, but don't quit your job until you got something else in hand, right? And that's the advice I would give to somebody else. But I was in this unique situation and I had to quit. I didn't have another job. I was going through a recession. It was going through a recession. This was years ago. The economy was not looking good. Jobs was hard to find. And I'm about to quit my job, but I don't have another job lined up. We're talking about crazy or crazy faith. That's what we're talking about. And I remember I was in the elevator because people found that out when I put in my resignation. People knew I was about to leave. And I remember I was in the elevator. I was talking to this lady. She worked in housekeeping, and she was like, "Yeah, I heard you quit." And she said, What other place you going?" I said, "Oh, I don't have another job." She said, "Wait, you quit and you don't have another job?" I said, "No." She said, "You crazy, crazy or crazy faith?" I remember the chef pulled me in his office. He had an intervention with me. He said, "Listen, I understand that you're trying to quit." He said, "But listen, once you quit, you're not going to have health insurance." He said, "I know you got some money saved because, see, one thing I said, hey, I got an emergency fund that I can last at least 3 months of living, and I encourage everybody to have an emergency fund if you don't have an emergency fund. But I had an emergency fund saved up. uh, I think for about I had at least 3 months in there that I could survive on time. And by then I'll find another job. And that was my attitude too. I was like, I'll find another job. Hey, I was looking for a job when I found this job. So I ain't worried about finding another job. I'll find another job. And so I remember this chef talking to me and he said, "Yeah, I know you got this money saved up." He said, "But you're not gonna have health insurance. What if you get sick? What if your daughter gets sick?" And I remember him saying, "I know you got that money saved up, but what if something happened to your car? What if something happened and that money, you got to use that money that you got saved up? Now you ain't got nothing to depend on." Life has a way of bad things happening. And he began to make a little sense. He was making sense for a minute, and I was thinking, like, you know what? He kind of right. And as I was having this thought, this is what he said next. He said, Yeah, because he said, I know you're a man of God and everything. I know you're into that faith and all that. He said, but this is real. This real life. And that's when I snapped back into the reality of faith. I said, the devil's slick. So whenever you see the devil's tail, just know that he's trying to distract you because God's face is near. But he almost had me going until he said that. And I said, listen, man, I understand and I respect you. I appreciate you coming and talking to me. I said, this is what I have to do. And he looked at me in my face and he said, you crazy. Crazy or crazy faith? Listen, we're talking about crazy faith. And so I decided to go. I decided to leave. And so they gave me a big party and everything. Like I said, I was there for 14 years. I was loved by many. But the managers that had this thing against me had me set up. They had me trapped, and they had me where like I ain't got nowhere to go. Checkmate, right? And so I quit. And when I quit, about a week after I quit, guess what happened? What happened, Billy? You found another job? No, my car broke down. My car broke down. I said, but that's okay. I still got money in my savings. I'm gonna go take that money, get my car fixed. Right? About 3 days after my car broke down, guess what happened? Somebody called you about a job? Nope, nope. I had got an abscess in my tooth and I had to go to the dentist, but I didn't have health insurance. So I had to come out of my pocket. And I went to the dentist. And I know they probably talked about me because I was up in there like my name was Earl. You understand what I'm saying? I was like, because I got to pay everything out of pocket. So everything they did, I wanted to know. I said, listen, you got to numb me. How much the numbing is? Hold on, let me write this down. How much? And then you're gonna have to abstract the T. Okay, how much is that? Hey, with a tight boy, I'm telling you. And so then I got that fixed. But I began to hear that chef's words. Remember the chef told me, what if your daughter gets sick? What if what if your car break down? It almost seemed like everything was happening that he said. And I was starting to get discouraged. About a week after that, another abscess came in my tooth because I found out I had high blood pressure and bad cholesterol, and it was causing all these things to happen. And then about a week after that, I said, you know what? I'm about to listen. Somebody about to hire me, So I remember getting up. I put on my best shirt and tie, got my briefcase. I got all them awards that I said, I'm going to get a job today. If I'm gonna go out, if I got to go fill out 20 applications, right? And I walked out, my tie on, my shirt, my briefcase, my awards and resumes and reference letters. And I got in the car and I put the key in the ignition and I turned it. That's all I heard. What you hear now? Nothing. Car that broke down again. And I remember sitting in the car with frustration, just feeling defeated. And I remember I said, you know what? I'm not gonna let the devil steal my joy. I can't leave. I said, but you know what? I can go in my house and get things in order, like clean up, straighten up. So I went in the house and I began to clean up, and I had the TV on, and there was this author being interviewed, and I was just listening. Yeah, you had the stuff playing in the background while you're cleaning. So I'm cleaning up, and there was this author that was being interviewed, and this author at this time had about 500 books. And I remember the interviewer asking him. He said, "What motivates you to write? You read a lot of books. What motivates you to write?" And the author said, "When I hurt, I write." And I heard him, right? Because you got to remember, I'm hurting right now, right? I'm hurting inside. And then he said it again. I looked up at the television screen and he said it again. He says, "When I hurt, I write." Oh man. And all of a sudden, to the right of me, I had a desktop computer. Been there, but for some reason it just glowed. For some reason it just caught my attention. For some reason it just stood out. And then I heard God say to me, God said, do you have time now? Remember back when I was prospering on my job, remember I was putting the book on the back burner. Remember I said, listen, I ain't got time. God, surely God understand. I don't have to. And God said, do you have time now? I can't even leave the house. I don't have a car. I don't have a job. Do you have time now? And then God said these next words to me that changed my life, that totally transformed my life. And I'm going to put it up on the screen. I want you to take a screenshot of it too. This is the next word that God said to me. God said, go for it or don't go at all. Copy that down. As a matter of fact, write that in the comment section. Write that in the comment section. Go for it or don't go at all. What was God doing? He was bringing me to the point of decision. You know, you've heard before, God don't like lukewarm, either be hot or cold. He don't like that lukewarm. He don't like that middle straddling the fence. And so God gave me a vision to write a book, and I was procrastinating. I'm trying to straddle a fence. I didn't abort it. He would have rather for me to just abort it altogether. Excuse me. He said, go for it or don't go at all. And guess what? You're in the same situation. What has God told you to do? What has God assigned you? What has God told you to do, but you haven't done yet? Excuse me. Hold on. We live, so hold on. Sorry about that. But what has God told you to do? Listen, you ain't got to put that in the comment section, but you need to answer that to yourself. But listen, God is saying, listen, you've been dancing around this long enough. You need to go for it or don't go at all. And guess what? I made a decision. Listen, decisions determine your future. As a matter of fact, put that in the comment section. Decisions determine your future. Take a screenshot of that. Decisions determine your future. Excuse me. Devil don't want you to hear this message, but you go hear it. You will hear it. Whatever, devil. Somebody write that in the comment section. Whatever, devil. I made a decision to go for it. I made a decision to go for it. As a matter of fact, let me show you the first book. I started writing the book and it took me 3 years. This is the book right here. Life and Righteousness, the Word is Your Life. It took me 3 years to write this book. Billy, did you make mistakes? Oh, yeah, I did. Billy, was it perfect once you started? Nope. But I did it. Done is better than perfect. And see, I took a bold faith. I took a bold step. But listen, I took 3 years. So check this out. When I decided to go for it, I said, listen, I'm about to go full time into working on this book. Yeah, I'm still looking for a job because remember, I'm still not unemployed, right? I was unemployed for about a year and a half. But I remember making a decision. I said, I'm going to make a decision to go for it. And I remember I was dating this lady once. I was dating this lady during this time. And I remember her, and she meant well, but I remember her stopping by my apartment one day. And she said, what are you doing? I said, I'm working on this book. She said, working on a book? She said, you need to be trying to find a job. You sitting here trying to work on a book. Crazy or crazy faith? That's what I'm talking about. Crazy or crazy. Everybody's not gonna be able to see it. Me and her didn't work out, but that's another story for another time. But it took me 3 years. I worked on this for 3 years. I said, I'm gonna go for it. I had to learn mistakes differently. I knew the problem. I knew what the problem was. I had a fear of making mistakes. I had a fear of rejection. I have a fear of looking foolish. I had a fear of failure. And I had to attack that fear. So I had bought two books that helped me to. I bought books, I watched videos, I remember listening to I had to attack the fear so I could look at fear differently. Because see, when we learn how to you learn how to ride a bike. And guess what? When you learn how to ride a bike, mistakes came with that, but you was okay with that. You welcomed that. You knew that when you rode a bike, you was gonna fall. You knew that when you started to learn how to drive a car, you was gonna be like this at first when you first started to drive. You knew that, but guess what? You welcomed that because you knew that was part of the process. But when it comes to your dream, you won't even get started. You waiting on God and God is waiting on you. God is already in your future right now, waiting on you to start. Chew on that for a minute. I'm gonna say that again. God is in your future right now, waiting on you to start. But you're stuck because you keep wondering how. And listen, without a job, without money, I put 3 years. It took me 3 years, but I wrote the book and I finally got it done. 15 months later, this book became a bestseller, by the way, Amazon bestseller. 15 months later, I came out with my second book. You can see that yellow book right there, 30 Days of Righteousness. That became a number one Amazon bestseller. And as you can see, these are all books, my books right here. I got 4 books. And I got another one too, a fifth one that I give away for free. By the way, if I haven't offered that yet, let me give that to you. Listen, if you would like a copy of this, the free book, just look in the description of this video. If you watch it on Facebook, you're not gonna see it, so you have to come on to my YouTube channel. But if you're on Facebook, just go to whateverdevil.com. You can download the ebook for free. Or if you watch it on YouTube, look right in the description of this video. As a matter of fact, I'm going to. If you're dealing with procrastination, if you're struggling with procrastination, I'm going to help you out. You tuned in to the right live. You tuned into the right video because I'm going to have some solution. I have the solution for procrastination, and I'm going to share with you at the end of this video. Did you hear what I just said? If you've been struggling with something, there's something you've been wanting to do. There's something maybe it's to write a book. Maybe it's to start a business. Maybe it's to start a ministry. Maybe it's to get apply for this leadership position. There's something that you've been desiring to do, but you've been procrastinating on it. You've been procrastinating. Listen, I have the solution to your procrastination problem. I have some resources that are going to help you. Most of them are free. Some of them you have to purchase. You listen, you decide which one you want, right? You can start off with the free stuff if you want, because this is not about a money thing. This is about a transformation thing. And if you want to be transformed, if you want to get over the procrastination, I'm going to help you. All right. So listen, let me see what else I got for you. Oh man, look at this right here. Long after the talking, have you done any walking? Listen, I talked about writing a book for 7 years. Listen, King Procrastinator. Listen, I talked about writing the book for 7 years. Long after the talking, have you done any walking? Walk with me. Come on. Come on. Let me show you one more quote. Don't wait until tomorrow to deal with your procrastination. I like little word plays. Don't wait until tomorrow to deal with your procrastination, which is a matter of fact, see right there where it says whatever devil, that's from my whatever devil book. And it's a chapter. So remember, I told you I had some solutions for you that are going to help you. This is the solution number one right here. You need to read chapter 2 and chapter 3 of this book, Whatever Devil, We Made It Anyway. Chapter 2 is a chapter on excuses. And these two chapters go hand in hand. because you got listen. I made excuses for why I didn't start. I had excuse after excuse. I even had what's called acceptable excuses. I teach you about that in here. What's an acceptable excuse? That's when your situation is so bad, people give you a green light to make an excuse. They say, "Hey, I understand. Hey, in your situation, it's okay for you to go ahead and throw in the towel. I understand." And those are the worst ones because now you have permission to quit. Listen, if you're interested in this book, go to whateverdevil.com or look into the description of this video, and I have the direct link. I have a direct link to all of my books in the description of this video. I have 2 volumes of this. Find volume 1 and reads chapters 2 and chapter 3. Chapter 3 is a chapter on procrastination. Well, I deal specifically with that. And a lot of people think that the leading cause of procrastination is laziness, but that is not true. And that's what's keeping a lot of people stuck because they're thinking that laziness is what's causing them to procrastinate. Listen, laziness can be a reason for procrastination, but it's not the main reason people procrastinate. Think about it. I know a lot of people who spend a lot of time on that job, but don't spend any time on their dream. They'll give their job overtime and give their dream no time. Chew on that for a minute. And you know this to be true. And guess what? If you've been procrastinating, you're a hard worker. Laziness isn't the issue. You need to learn what it is. I teach it all in here, whateverdevil.com. To get the ebook or the paperback copy, just look in the description of this video. Let me give you another free resource that's going to help you. Uh-oh. There we go. So on my YouTube channel, if you're watching me on YouTube, you're right here on my channel. Just click my name. But on my YouTube channel, you're going to see these tabs that says like video, shorts, live, playlist. Find the one that says playlist, right? And when you go to the playlist, you're going to find these 3 uh, series, playlists of videos, 20 videos, 5 in the first 2, 10 in the last one. Listen, watch these videos, and it's going to help you to totally transform, get out of procrastination. Listen, I dare you to watch these I dare you to go on binge watch these playlists and tell me if you don't binge watch these playlists and come back and tell me you haven't gotten rid of procrastination. This is going to help you. This is going to bless you. This is going to transform you. Take a screenshot of that. These 3 playlists, they got more on that too, but I think if you just start with these 3 right here, the Start Collection, the Road to Habits, Master Class on Mastery. Oh man, some of my best teachers. And these are free. These are free resources that are going to help you. These are free resources that are going to help you. Listen, if you have any questions or anything, put it in the comment section. I'll be happy to answer. And listen, I eventually found the job. I have another whole testimony on that. I'm not gonna hold you long on that. I think I'm gonna do that in a separate video. I actually have done it in a separate video before, but I wound up finding the job. But I had to go through that. The reason God wasn't intervening, the reason God wasn't, it seemed like God wasn't helping me because I couldn't see the full picture. Sometimes when you're so close up on the picture, you can't see, right? So I had to step back and see the full picture. If God would have worked it out for me at that job, I would have never wrote the book. I would have put the book on the shelf and then it would just collected dust and I would have forgot all about it. But God allowed the enemy to let that happen. See, there's a scripture that says, you meant it for evil, but God meant it for good. Yeah, God saw it. God saw everything. He saw what was going on. But he allowed certain things to happen so I can get into the position where I would take action. So now I thank God for this. I embraced the storm. It was necessary. It was necessary. And you may be going through a similar thing. And right now you can't see the full picture. But just know that it was necessary. God is working it out for your good. God is going to turn it in your favor. But you're going to have to to trust him even during the storm. Listen, I know you'll shout in the valley, but you'll shout when there's victory, but will you shout in the valley? I know you'll shout when the light is shining on you, but will you shout in the darkness? Will you learn how to dance in the rain? Are you understanding? Listen, there's one thing that you need to understand, and that is to trust God even when you don't understand. I'm gonna say that again. There's one thing you need to understand, and that is to trust God even when you don't understand. And sometimes when you're standing on God's word, people will think you crazy. Sometimes when you're standing on God's word, people will say, "Hey man, you done lost your mind. You crazy." Listen, crazy or crazy faith. As a matter of fact, if you're interested in this shirt, I'll put the link in the description of the video. This is the dark chocolate one. I have a black one as well. But everything's in the description of this video on the YouTube channel, and you most definitely want to check it out. Listen, if this message has blessed you, do me a favor, hit the like button, because that's going to help the algorithm and share it to more people. If it bless you, you want to bless others. Leave a comment, that helps the algorithm too, but I love to hear from you. Let know your thoughts on this video, and most definitely share this video. That way other people can be blessed, even if you got to just send the link to somebody through text, through inbox on Messenger. If this message bless you, listen, share it out to bless others. If it's available, hit the hype button, and that'll help. Listen, I'm just trying to get the word out, because I want to bless people just like it bless you. Listen, I appreciate you taking your time to stay here. And listen, here's your next step. Like I said, you can get the book, right? Learn those steps, watch the playlist, but you can start by building up your faith too. If you want to know, watch another video about how to increase your faith. I have this video I did. It's actually a series of videos. As a matter of fact, you can start here next. And this is an online course, a free online. This is all free. 5-video online course. It's 5 easy baby steps that'll create giant faith. Do you want to increase your faith? Do you want to have giant faith? Do you want to have crazy faith? Listen, go deeper and binge watch this playlist as well. I'm gonna put it right here. And listen, you just click right there, and I'll see you in those videos. Listen, I love you. Stay up, stay blessed, and always remember that the word is your life.